Where are we gonna start fishing first in this ocean of stuff? This is one of those where the arc jumps all over the bulb. This has got to be 50 bucks. I mean, these are pretty cool.
Barry Weiss was a fan favorite from the moment he stepped onto our screens. There was just something about the eccentric, sunglasses-wearing treasure hunter from Storage Wars, who always showed up in the wildest rides and dropped those hilarious one-liners. But he disappeared just as quickly as he appeared, and fans have been wondering for years what really happened. But now, we finally have the answers. From life-changing moments to what he's been doing since leaving the show, here's the truth about why Barry Weiss vanished from the spotlight. The Storage Wars rock star. Now, before we jump in, let's set the scene. Storage Wars first hit A&E back in 2010, and right away, one guy stood out from the rest. Barry Weiss. He wasn't your typical storage auction bidder yelling numbers and sweating over dusty boxes. Barry was more like that effortlessly cool uncle who shows up in sunglasses, tells wild stories, and somehow always knows how to make a scene fun. He had this relaxed, playful vibe, part collector, part showman. Instead of chasing profits like everyone else, he was there for the thrill of the find. That made him instantly likable. Fans loved him for his humor, his vintage cars, and his habit of turning even the most boring storage unit into an adventure. But after a few seasons, Barry stepped away. He popped up here and there for cameos, but eventually he just sort of disappeared from TV. Naturally, that got people talking. Was it health issues, burnout, or did he just get tired of the spotlight? Turns out, it wasn't that dramatic. Barry's always been a bit of a free spirit, and once the fun faded, he simply moved on to other things. What a lot of people don't know is that Barry had already built quite the life long before Storage Wars ever came along. By the time he was 15, he was already knee-deep in the world of antiques, hitting up flea markets, garage sales, and estate auctions, hunting for hidden gems. He had that natural eye for value, the kind of instinct where you can tell a piece of junk is actually worth something. That passion for collecting ended up shaping his entire life. Later on, he teamed up with his brother Joey and started a wholesale produce company. Yeah, kind of random after growing up in a music industry family, but it worked. They imported and exported fruits and vegetables and ran the business for more than 25 years. In old interviews, Barry called it good, steady work. Not exactly exciting, but profitable. And it gave him the freedom to do what he really loved: chase treasures, travel, and live life on his own terms. So when Storage Wars came knocking, Barry didn't really need the gig. He just thought it sounded like fun. And that's the thing about him. It was never about the money. When Storage Wars premiered in December 2010, Barry Weiss was right there from day one, part of the original crew that helped turn a niche auction show into a full-blown TV phenomenon. So how'd he end up on the cast? Simple. Producers were scouting real experienced storage unit buyers around Southern California, not actors pretending to bid. Barry fit that bill perfectly. He wasn't just another guy chasing quick flips. He was the collector, literally his nickname on the show. And he lived up to it in every way. Barry's background in antiques made him stand out instantly. While most bidders were there to grind out profits, he treated each auction like an adventure. It wasn't just business to him, it was about the thrill of the unknown. One day you might find a treasure, the next day a pile of junk, but Barry made both entertaining. And his entrances? Absolutely legendary. One episode he showed up in a helicopter, another time in an amphibious car. Because why pull up in a pickup when you can make an entrance like a rock star? That was pure Barry. He had a sense of humor and style that the other bidders just couldn't match. If you watched Storage Wars during its early years, you know exactly what I mean. Seasons 1 through 4 were peak Barry. He'd stroll up to a locker with his signature black gloves, He said it was to avoid bad juju. Sunglasses on, and that mischievous grin that always meant something fun was about to happen. He had an eye for the unusual, and that's what made him so fun to watch. Remember when he found that vintage Zoltar fortune-telling machine just like the one from Big? He sold it for a tidy profit, but what made the moment special was the pure excitement on his face. Or the time he uncovered a stash of old medical equipment, including a creepy antique prosthetic leg, and immediately quipped, "This could be a leg up on the competition." Only Barry could turn something that weird into comedy gold. That's really what made him stand out from the rest. While guys like Daryl Sheets were laser-focused on profit, and Brandy and Jared were running a business, Barry was all about having fun. He brought personality, unpredictability, and humor to every scene. His catchphrases became iconic too. Whenever he found something cool, you could count on him to say, "This is the wow factor." Barry wasn't the heart of Storage Wars because he made the most money. He was the heart because he made it fun. So, why exactly did he leave the show? Why he left the show? After 4 solid seasons, Barry decided to call it quits. In 2013, he officially announced he was leaving Storage Wars. And honestly, his reason made perfect sense. A few years later, in a 2017 interview, he admitted he'd simply had enough and wanted to leave while the show was still riding high. He didn't want to be one of those people who stick around until things start going downhill. Classic Barry move. Walk away while you're still the fan favorite. He even joked that he wanted to go back to being a professional slacker, and that's kind of what people loved about him. He never took himself too seriously. After 25 years in the produce business, and then a run on one of cable TV's biggest reality hits, he'd earned the right to take it easy. So that's exactly what he did. He stepped out of the spotlight and went back to what he always loved most, hunting for antiques and collectibles, but this time without the pressure of cameras, deadlines, or TV drama. Of course, fans being fans, rumors started flying. Some people thought there was behind-the-scenes tension. Others guessed health issues, but Barry never fueled any of that. He's always handled things with class. No trash talk about A and E, no grudges against the other cast members. He just quietly bowed out and moved on. Buried Treasure, the spin-off. That kinda flopped. Barry didn't totally vanish from TV after Storage Wars. In fact, A&E saw how popular he was and gave him his own spin-off in 2014 called Buried Treasure. The concept was pretty much tailor-made for him. No auctions, no rival bidders, just Barry hitting the open road in search of weird and wonderful collectibles. Each episode followed him road tripping across the U.S., meeting all sorts of eccentric people and digging through the most unexpected places for hidden gems. And of course, it wouldn't be Barry without the flair. One week he'd show up in a monster truck, the next in a giant hot dog-shaped car. It was chaotic, hilarious, and very him. The show only ran for 1 season, 8 episodes, but it gave fans a deeper look at Barry's personality. Without the auction drama, you could really see his humor, curiosity, and love for collecting shine through. It was less about big finds and more about the fun of the chase. Then in 2015, he reunited with A&E again for Storage Wars. Barry Strikes Back. This one was a little different, kind of a best-of clip show where Barry and his buddy Kenny Crossley, another fan favorite, sat down to rewatch classic Storage Wars moments and add their own commentary. It was lighthearted, full of banter, and showed how self-aware Barry was about the whole reality TV thing. He knew exactly why fans loved him. He leaned into the jokes and didn't take any of it too seriously. After that, Barry slowly drifted away from regular TV appearances. He popped up here and there, guest spots on shows like Motorcycle Mania, or interviews about cars, which is another one of his big passions. Because if there's one thing Barry Weiss is known for, it's his incredible collection. We're talking everything from vintage cars and bikes to truly odd stuff. A full suit of armor, Elvis memorabilia, even rare instruments. He's like a walking museum of cool finds. Motorcycle accident. Fast forward to 2019. That's when things took a rough turn for Barry. In April of that year, he was in a pretty serious motorcycle accident in Los Angeles. According to reports, it happened around 2:30 p.m. on April 24th in the Los Feliz area. Barry was out riding with a friend when a car suddenly pulled out of a parking spot right in front of them. They didn't have time to react, slammed into the back of it and went down hard. Both of them were taken to the hospital, but Barry got the worst of it. The injuries were no joke: broken bones, severe chest trauma, internal damage. He was rushed straight to the ICU and went through multiple surgeries, including major ones on his back and femur. His friend later shared an update from the hospital saying Barry was in rough shape but fighting hard, which honestly doesn't surprise anyone who knows him. Barry's always been a huge motorcycle guy. He's got a serious collection of custom bikes, so the accident really hit home for his fans. Luckily, by June 2019, people like Dan and Laura Dotson, who worked with him on Storage Wars, gave hopeful updates saying he was in rehab, recovering, and doing better. Still, it wasn't a quick bounce back. At 68, recovery from that kind of trauma takes time, and Barry knew it. He mostly kept quiet through all of it, staying out of the public eye while he focused on getting better. No big media statements, no dramatic Instagram posts. That's not his style. If you scroll through his Instagram, it's mostly chill snapshots of his life, his classic cars, his dogs, and random bits of everyday Barry energy. You wouldn't even know the guy had been through something that serious. That accident ended up being one of the main reasons people say he vanished. And because the internet loves to do what it does best, rumors eventually started swirling that Barry had died. Totally false. He was very much alive, just recovering and probably enjoying the peace and quiet for once. No cameras, no crowds, no one bugging him about whether he still owned that creepy clown statue from Storage Wars. After the crash, Barry really stepped back from public life. But in true Barry fashion, he didn't stay gone forever. In 2021, he surprised everyone by making a comeback in Storage Wars Season 13. And of course, he couldn't just stroll in like a normal person. Nope. He made his grand entrance in a custom green 1939 Lincoln Zephyr. Because if you're Barry Weiss, you don't just return, you glide in like a rock star who accidentally took a wrong turn into a garage sale. Fans went nuts. He looked great, still rocking his trademark shades and that laid-back grin. It felt like the good old days again. And it wasn't just a quick cameo either. Barry stuck around for a bit, showing up through Season 15 and proving he still had an eye for the weird and wonderful. In one episode, he found a rare vintage Los Angeles Dodgers cap that ended up being worth a small fortune. In another, he bought a storage unit just because it had a mannequin that looked like it had seen some things. That was classic Barry. Less about profit, more about personality. But it was clear this was more of a victory lap than a full-time comeback. In interviews around that time, including one with Newsweek, Barry admitted that the accident had left him with some lingering issues, though he said he was grateful to still be here. The return, he said, was fun, but it wasn't forever. By Season 14 in 2022, his appearances became more limited. And as of Season 15 and now Season 16 in 2025, he's not listed as part of the main cast. A TV Insider article from July 2025 confirmed it. Barry's not a regular anymore, and it's unclear whether he'll pop in again down the road. So, where is he now? As of 2025, Barry Weiss isn't part of Storage Wars Season 16. But don't worry, he hasn't vanished again. He's just doing what Barry does best, living life completely on his own terms. These days, Barry's keeping busy in the most Barry Weiss way possible, as a brand ambassador for Sherwood Valley Casino in California. Honestly, it fits him perfectly. He gets to hang out, meet people, crack jokes, and probably gamble with chips older than half the staff. It's not about work for him anymore. It's about enjoying himself. And of course, his passion for collecting hasn't slowed down one bit. His personal collection has always been legendary, from jaw-dropping vintage cars to rare pop culture memorabilia, to those wonderfully weird antiques that make you wonder where he even finds this stuff. Barry once said he's been collecting since he was 15, which means he's got more than 5 decades worth of treasures tucked away somewhere. That's not hoarding, that's curating, at least in Barry's world. So, why the quieter life now? It's a mix of things. After his first exit from the show, the 2019 accident, and just the reality of time passing, Barry's 74 now, he's earned the right to slow down. Add in a comfortable net worth, around $10 million as of mid-2025 according to Celebrity Net Worth and a few other sites, and you get the picture. Between his decades in the produce business, his Storage Wars paychecks, and his knack for flipping valuable finds, he's set for life. Barry's always been one of those people who somehow stay mysterious, even in the age of oversharing. His personal life has never been front and center, and that's part of why fans still talk about him like he vanished. Truth is, he's just private. Always has been. He's got 2 kids, a son and a daughter, but they've both stayed far away from the spotlight. No social media appearances, no interviews, no riding their dad's fame. They've built their own quiet lives, and Barry seems totally cool with that. He's never really chased celebrity attention himself, so it makes sense that his family wouldn't either. There's no big drama behind the scenes, no messy relationships or TMZ stories. Barry's been divorced for a while, but he's stayed on good terms with his ex and focused on his passions, collecting, restoring, and just living life at his own pace. He's still based in Los Angeles, in a house that's basically a museum of his life. Friends say every room tells a story. Vintage furniture, neon signs, car parts, rare antiques. It's all part of the world he's been building since his teens. In a 2012 interview, Barry mentioned that he had retired from the produce industry long before Storage Wars came around, so that he could focus full-time on treasure hunting. For him, it wasn't about the fame, it was about the thrill of discovery. But after the 2019 motorcycle accident, his priorities shifted. The chase for the next big find gave way to something more meaningful: spending time with close friends, enjoying good food, and living at a slower, steadier pace. These days, Barry still rides motorcycles, though a bit more cautiously. He's often spotted golfing around Los Angeles or visiting car shows with old buddies from the entertainment and collector scenes. People who know him say he's still got that trademark humor. Dry, mischievous, and never forced. But he's also mellowed out. Health-wise, things are looking up. There haven't been any reports of major setbacks, and fans who've run into him at events or around LA say he looks healthy and in good spirits. In 2025, Primetimer ran a short update confirming that Barry had officially stepped back again after his brief Storage Wars return, choosing to focus on rest, recovery, and his personal projects. It's honestly kind of poetic. After decades of working hard, first in business, then in television, Barry's finally living life on his own terms. No schedules, no deadlines, no pressure to perform. Just cars, collectibles, and a lifetime's worth of stories to tell. People still miss seeing him on TV, sure, but if you know anything about Barry Weiss, It's that he's never been the type to do something just because people expect him to. He shows up when he wants to, makes an entrance no one forgets, and then drifts right back into his own world. Cool cars, good company, and maybe a treasure or two still waiting to be found. Fan theories. In the midst of all this Barry drama, there were some interesting and bizarre fan theories that were flying around. There were wild theories, emotional posts, and even a few heartfelt "Where's Barry?" compilations on YouTube. It wasn't just that people missed him. Barry had become the personality of the show. He brought humor, class, and a touch of chaos to every episode. So when he suddenly vanished after season 4, fans wanted answers. One of the most popular theories floating around was that Barry didn't actually leave voluntarily. Some believed he'd clashed with A&E producers behind the scenes, maybe over creative control, editing decisions, or how his character was portrayed. A few Reddit users even claimed there were contract disputes that turned sour. Basically, the internet's version of a Hollywood fallout. But if you look at what Barry himself has said, those rumors don't really hold up. In multiple interviews over the years, including one from 2017, he made it crystal clear that the decision to leave was entirely his. He said he'd had enough and wanted to quit while the show was still hot. His words, not anyone else's. He didn't want to get bored or overstayed his welcome. He just wanted out. And when he did, he described himself as returning to his old role, a world-class slacker. Only Barry could make early retirement sound like a lifestyle brand. Then came the more out-there fan theories, the ones that sound straight out of a Storage Wars episode gone paranormal. Some fans claimed Barry had gone completely off the grid. The image was kind of hilarious. Barry holed up in a desert cabin somewhere, surrounded by dusty vintage radios, rusted motorcycles, maybe a haunted doll collection, sipping coffee out of a chipped Elvis mug. Given his love for antiques and weird treasures, honestly, it didn't sound that far-fetched. Others took their theories even further. Some fans were convinced Barry had completely cashed out and vanished overseas, maybe somewhere in Italy, or on a quiet, tropical island. The story went that he'd swapped dusty storage lockers for sunny beaches, spending his days collecting art, classic cars, and anything that looked like it belonged in a private museum. And honestly, that one almost sounds believable. Barry's always had that mysterious world traveler energy, the kind of guy who'd disappear for 6 months and come back with a rare motorcycle and a story about buying it from a count in Monaco. But then the internet did what the internet always does. It went from maybe he retired early to full-on conspiracy mode. One of the wilder fan theories claimed that Barry actually died in his 2019 motorcycle crash, and that the man who appeared in later Storage Wars seasons was a look-alike. Yep, a Barry Weiss body double. To which we can only say, if that's a look-alike, they deserve an Oscar. Whoever came back nailed the sunglasses, the sarcasm, the grin, and the borderline obsession with vintage cars way too perfectly. It's hard to fake that kind of cool. The truth, as usual, is far less dramatic, but still pretty entertaining. Barry really is alive and well, just doing his thing. These days, he's working as a brand ambassador for Sherwood Valley Casino in California, which might honestly be the most Barry Weiss job ever. Think about it. It combines his love of people, good stories, and the occasional gamble. And no, despite what a few fan posts claimed, he's not secretly running a Vegas empire from the shadows. Still, it's a fun image. Barry in a velvet suit, sipping whiskey, running blackjack tables like a 1940s mob boss. You can almost picture it, shades on, poker face locked in, casually telling dealers, "Hit me," while vintage rock plays in the background. In reality, Barry's life post-Storage Wars is much simpler. He's enjoying his time, meeting fans, talking cars, and living at his own pace. After all the years of fame, business, and recovery, he's earned it. So, will he ever return to TV? That's the million-dollar question, and one fans never stop asking. As of now, Barry hasn't said no. He's never officially closed the door on Storage Wars or reality TV in general. But he's also not chasing the spotlight. After everything he's done, from running a successful business to becoming a fan favorite on a hit show, he seems perfectly content just living life on his own terms. In interviews over the past few years, Barry's hinted that he still loves the thrill of the hunt, the auctions, the collectibles, the stories behind every strange item he digs up. But he's also said he enjoys the peace and freedom that come with being off-camera. These days, if he's not at a car show or the casino, he's probably out on a careful motorcycle ride or tinkering with one of his vintage finds in the garage. That said, Storage Wars has a funny way of surprising everyone. Cast members who left years ago have popped back up for cameos, special episodes, or even full-on comebacks. And if anyone could make an unexpected return that instantly steals the spotlight, it's Barry Weiss. So don't count him out just yet. Maybe one day, when nobody's expecting it, a vintage Cadillac will roll up to an auction lot, the door will swing open, and out will step the man, the myth, the collector. Sunglasses on, grin in place, ready to find the next hidden treasure. And that's the story of Barry Weiss, the legend of Storage Wars, the man who turned every dusty locker into an adventure and somehow made professional slacker sound like a dream job. From the produce business to primetime fame, a near-fatal crash, and a well-earned quiet life, Barry's always done things his own way. Whether he's cruising in a vintage car, swapping stories at the casino, or hunting for forgotten treasures, he's still the same guy fans fell in love with back in 2010. Sharp, funny, and effortlessly cool. So, what do you think? Would you like to see Barry make a full comeback on Storage Wars, or should he stay retired and mysterious forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're there, hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, and subscribe for more stories about your favorite TV legends. Because let's be honest, there's only one Barry Weiss, and we'd all love to see him roll up to another auction in style.